faster, I'm faster, I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap and my name is XRP. I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap and my name is XRP. Yeah, I get everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRP. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. I get everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRP. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. Bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked now. Bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked now. I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap and my name is XRP. I'm faster, I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap and my name is XRP. Everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRP. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. I get everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRP. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. I get everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRP. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see.
Hello everybody, let's get started. 25 viewers. That's a freaking record. Hello everyone. Exciting times ahead of us. I don't have financial interests, I don't have sponsored links, and I don't want no donations, please. I have basically nothing to say. Still, my most important news, I repeated, was the tweet from Wrath of Kahneman that the German exchange, Stuttgart Börse, with its daughter kind of exchange for crypto, Bison, the custodian provider for that exchange, Blocknox from Blockchain and Fort Knox, tweeted about, now it's almost 2 months ago, that they're ready to serve institutional investors, and that's basically, for me, a start signal for those big market makers to be able to get their thing going. My dog on that picture is I don't know, maybe 6 months, something. She doesn't lie like that anymore with her legs spread behind. I think she has too much tension in her muscles. She prefers it to keep them like that instead of like letting them go. Sometimes I try to cuddle her so that she relaxes, but she lets me kind of massage them into the long position, but as soon as I let my arms go, she moves back into this position. Genau, noch geschwind eine rauchen müssen. $0.17, yes, and my butt. I yesterday had, I think, a breakthrough, or I think it was the day before. Because my bot was kind of reacting too nervous for the price movement. So let's say, because I had kind of trigger values set, and when the price kind of basically was increasing, there was a sharp drop, it would trigger the sell, but the idea is to wait further down below. But when after that quick drop the price would continue to rise, I would always make a loss, and I have put in some smoothing so that these like just one-time drops are not kind of disturbing the work of my bot. And with data from the past 3 weeks, actually I think it was data up until the end of 27th, I think, from starting from, hold on, yes. Determining row count, it's kind of busy right now. I think the data starts, I don't know, somewhere around around 6th of March, so 25 days, a bit more than, well, actually until 27th, so it's about 3 weeks. And okay, what I cannot tell by simulation is the price loss I'm making compared to the price I'm actually executing the trade, but the outlooks for those past 3 weeks was quite good. I was basically in the double digits, and that in a time when we basically lost 30% in price. Silva XAM is actually, I think it's an interesting thing. I have downloaded it myself, but I haven't looked at it already. But if I will be using it, then more in terms of multi-signature wallet, because I still have this, well, actually it's not really a bet, because neither of us will really lose. With Raf from Florida, I told in one of my live streams, I don't know, a few months back, that I'm counting with 5 digits not before 2025, and he opposed that. He said XRP will have 5 digits before the end of 2024, and we bet 200 XRP each on that. And even though I didn't divulge yet into this, but the idea would be that we create a multi-signature wallet where him and me both have a signature, and both signatures need to apply for a transaction to be made, and then we will pay our 200 XRP into there, and at the end of 2024 we will then together decide whom will receive that money. I mean, the winner could actually decide whom receives, but as we're kind of like both winners anyway, I'm pretty sure about that. I'm pretty sure that we will decide together. So, news from it. Well, Harry, I haven't been too strongly doing follow up on crypto in the past month, so I cannot really tell unless someone from you guys can tell us news about this. But my last news, still second hand, someone reported that Crypto Eerie told in a video of hers that they're planning to go live in April, but I wouldn't count them to go live like tomorrow. I mean, I'm still very hopeful that they finally go live. I mean, they have like almost, I don't know, 21 months delay. Initially they were told to go live June 2018, which they actually did, but only for like a limited amount, like 20,000 people or so. So I really hope they open the doors for everyone now, and if so, then I mean, I could be wrong, but I hardly doubt that when like the potential XRP holders could kind of like double within a very short time. And I mean, whom would sell them their XRP? They would want to buy, and someone needs to sell them. So the price will increase because only people who are, I mean, that's the basic law of economy, supply and demand. If there is high demand, the price on the supply side will go up if the supply itself cannot go up. Mike, I was actually thinking about, I mean, not thinking about that, but I was telling my wife today that there are people actually selling such bots. And I mean, basically, I could do so. It's actually, I could even make it fully customizable. Like that, you basically just install it, run it, and then you can customize it from a web front end or something. However, why would I do so? Assuming that too many people would, I don't know, 100 or 1,000 would run my bot, I guess the results would be devastating, because as long as those like additional owners wouldn't change quite significantly part of the logic, those curves would just increase, like increase in impulse. So when it goes down, it would go down even harder. When it goes up, it might go up even harder, and that might result in less percent profit per 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 user running that particular bot. And I mean, the reason for that, why I actually did that bot, is to kind of prove that you can make good profits in kind of any area, even without knowing TA. That's what I want to prove. And my latest simulation for the past 3 weeks have been quite promising. Let's see how the future develops. If it works out well, I might actually be able to apply the same principles to stock market, pending the fact that I find an exchange. I think in Switzerland this is something I need to investigate. Some people are invested in XRP at Swissquote in Switzerland, and I think they do have an API. And I mean, because the logic behind my bot is rather a generic one. And I mean, don't be fooled. Not every trade will be a profitable trade. In the simulations, it was actually like that like half or sometimes even more than half of the trades were lost trades, but the ones where I made a profit the profit was so huge that it, like, one profitable trade overcame, I don't know, 5 or more lost trades. And that's exactly how it should work. I mean, from the base logic I put in it. Let's assume that it runs really nice over a longer period of time. I will check next Sunday if we can see next Sunday a little bit of profit, because that's now the first time since it's really running with the final logic, with the final kind of adjustments and everything. And if we see that there is some profit, I will put in more XRP, and then I will investigate into this other like stock market thing. And at that point, Mike, I could actually think of selling, because then you can apply it to, I mean, on the stock market, because the stock market is so vast. I wouldn't. Let's assume I would sell it to you, Mike, and I'm invested in Apple and Google and Microsoft, and you're invested in GM, Ford, and I don't know, Jeep. I don't know, is Jeep GM? Maybe. I don't know if it's an own company. Let's say Fiat, Chrysler, I think it's now. Renault, Nissan, and I don't know, Ford. Then we wouldn't even touch each other. So the stock market would be vast enough that I could say. But I mean, I'm not doing that to make. I did it to state the point that you don't need technical chart analysis in order to be able to make a profit on the stock market or on any other market, actually. And to actually also prove a point that the stop loss setting on a trade is actually an important setting. Just most people don't get it. And if I can prove that I'm right, then yeah, why not? But I'm not doing that for profit. I could give it away for kind of like, I mean, I invested now a month of work. That depends on how many I'd sell and how much profit, like the average profit. That needs to be seen. I think I would need to think about that. Thank you, Manuel, about the Swissquote API answer. Crypto Eri posted a video a few weeks back where she highlights different types of liquidity. Some that will have little effect with the use of XRP during at the crisis. Can you comment? Well, basically, I didn't see her video, but I think I read the title of the video, and what most people get wrong is that XRP is the solution for the liquidity crisis, and don't be fooled and try to think that it's not the solution. It may. I mean, I'm not an economist, and I really didn't investigate into all those figures. But I think that the liquidity of the banks is not just low due to the fact that they have Nostro accounts. I mean, they have many other kind of, I don't know, how is it called in English, obligations they need to, I don't know, oblige to. I think that's the term, oblige. Cross-border payments is, I mean, I'm just assuming, it's maybe less than 5%, or I really don't know. And kind of removing those nostros that surely will bring back liquidity into the countries, for sure. But I don't think that XRP will solve the global liquidity crisis, if there is any at all. Rajan, I think was his name, the guy who opened the Swell conference in Singapore last year. He used to be the central bank chef boss of India, moved then as an economist to IMF. What he's doing now, I don't know. And he basically stated he doesn't see the world economy at a crisis. And this was actually backed by a guy, I think he was from BIS, Bank of International Settlement, during the WEF conference, I think in end of January in Davos. There was one interview, it wasn't not everything is related Ripple. Just because Donald Trump opens his mouth doesn't mean he thinks about Ripple at that very moment. Don't be fooled. I mean, like the last week it was like laughable. Like he talks about anything, Donald Trump, and everyone thinks he's talking about XRP. No, he's not. He has other problems as well. So that guy at BIS, at WEF, from BIS, who talked to that reporter about the question if he sees the world at a critical point, kind of confirmed the view of this Rajan guy that currently the banks seem to be quite stable. So I don't believe in a financial crisis. I don't believe in a liquidity crisis. Sure, right now with coronavirus, the times are hard, but I mean, in Switzerland, because we have like a low, how is that ratio called? Debt to, like in German it's called Staatsschuldenquote, the debt ratio to BDP, I don't know, I think it's called. And Switzerland has a figure below 40%. And in the beginning of the year, when the government of Switzerland announced that they made a profit last year, the voices were going high. Let's put more money into education. Let's put more money there, and there. And the Swiss government, or basically it was the Swiss government. They denied and they said, well, will make sure that we have some reserves once in need. Now comes Corona, and they deliberate. I don't know. Right now, I think it's 42 billions, but they would have more room. I mean, I literally don't know how many percent these 40 billions were compared to the debt we do already have. But because we do have such a low debt in Switzerland, they can increase that. Now other countries like, I don't know, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, they might have more problems regarding that. But the EU Commission already said that they will remove these restrictions from the countries not to be above 100 in this debt to BDP ratio. 100 between 80 and 100, it's like a level where people think a country gets kind of will be unable to pay back its debt, something like that, and they will remove this kind of limit, such that the countries can kind of like create additional money and put money into the economy, and they will do that, and nothing will happen. That's what I believe. Everyone is talking that the dollar will lose like value in the thousands, like that in a year from now you will pay $1,000 for a beer or so. Forget that. That will never happen. I told it in a video in the past that the value we give to something is only because we trust, and as long as there is enough trust, and it's not our trust, the retail customer. I mean, we are like a tiny little spot in that whole picture. But as long as the industry trusts the dollar or the euro or the Swiss franc, everything is fine. Repo market, I'm not really looking into that. Some think that this is very deeply connected with this liquidity crisis and everything. I cannot comment on that. David the Amazer. A digital dollar will be no different than a not digital dollar. As a matter of fact, I'd be surprised if more than 5% of the dollars are actually not already digital, because it's just figures. And if you move figures around on ledgers as we do have it today, or in a digital version, it's actually about the same. It would be even worse, actually, if the banks had to keep their accounts in a digital dollar, because then they could not do this fractional reserve banking anymore. They would always need to rely on dollars coming from the Fed or so, and I'm pretty sure that the banks would not want that to happen. But I mean, I'm literally the only person in the whole world thinking that. Maybe I'm not seeing the way how central bank digital currency will be employed. But for you, they were the Amazer, and for me, it will make literally zero difference on how I pay in McDonald's for my menu. I will use my credit card in the same way, and behind the settlement, how I didn't care before, I will not care after. It will make no difference, and it will have the same value, and there will exist as many as from the fiat exists today, and those countries introducing digital whatever money will make sure that they can increase the amount of it in the same way that they can increase the digital fiat money today. I mean, although all that hype around central bank digital currency, I literally don't get it. There is nothing to hype about that. It's about the same as people would hype if BMW uses a different kind of screw to screw the motor into the chassis. Why would you hype about that? Unless you're the freaking producer of that screw and making more profit out of that. Last time you asked if we have an idea why your account dropped so hard. My idea is that many people don't get a notification of your stream. I have this problem since couple of days with some. Hagop Saldalgian Smike. You can, I think, Google it. I think the solution is to unsubscribe and resubscribe. That might be the reason why Brad Kimes created a second channel. I don't know. I'm totally safe. I hope all of you guys are safe and healthy too. That's right now really the most important thing. Actually, talking about numbers, I will just give you an idea that many people, I think, literally fail to see the big picture. In Switzerland, the health insurance cost rise, I don't know, I give just a rough boilerplate figure, 10% year over year. 5 years ago when my wife came to Switzerland, she paid, I think it was, $190 per month. Or per quarter, I think it's per month. In the meantime, it's, I don't know, 270, so it's like way more than 10%. 5 times 10% would be, maybe roughly 10%. Now they're thinking, how can we cut the cost in the health insurance business? And they're thinking about introducing a fee, because many people go to the hospital directly without ever going to their doctor first. And the emergency reception at the hospital is kind of more expensive than if you go to your doctor. And as many people do that, my belief is, especially like people who don't speak our language properly, that's at least my perception. Every time I'm at the hospital, I'm kind of overwhelmed by people from foreign countries, or maybe they live in Switzerland but they literally don't speak our language. But that's just a side note. Anyway, they're talking about the $50 fee to kind of keep people away from this emergency department at the hospital, if it's just like not so important cases, which may help reduce cost, but it'll be like in a 0.000x range. We have in Switzerland every year about 40,000 people, new people with cancer diagnosed. The average cost of a treatment for a person with cancer, the average, it's not the top, it's the average, is 200,000 Swiss francs per year. That's 8 billion. Because the average life expectancy for a person in Switzerland is 2 years. Either they die or they are, I don't know, maybe healthy again after the 2 years. It's 16 billion we pay per year just for those 80,000 people. Okay? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not telling that we shouldn't give them all the help we can. But it's a little bit stupid thinking that by introducing a $50 fee for something, I don't know how many people go to the emergency in hospitals, but compared with the 60 billion we pay for those 80,000 people with cancer every year, that's in Switzerland 2,000 Swiss francs per person per year. If you calculate that or compare that with this figure we pay for health insurance, that's like 70% or so from our health insurance we just pay to cover for these people who have cancer. And that's just cancer. There's other sick illnesses which, I don't know, maybe less people have it, but which is also very costly in treatment. And they try to reduce the cost, I don't know, for $5 when they could reduce it in the hundreds or thousands. But that would basically mean that we couldn't treat all those cancer patients anymore. And that's why I tell, I'm not being ethical or moralistic here. It's just a thought I give you to think about. We cannot complain about cost about something when we actually are happy that the cost or the dollars or Swiss francs we pay will eventually come to actually heal us. I mean, in the times I get cancer, I will be really happy to have to get a treatment about 200,000 for 2 years by the how do you say, by the outlook of maybe being able to live 2 years longer and eventually even more after that if I'm healed. So for me that would be really worth it, right? And now coming back to and just to give you this health insurance cost, I just wanted to give you an idea that people look at it with really weird eyes, okay? Now when we get back to this corona stuff, this 40 billion, that's like 3 times this 16 billion we pay for the cancer patients. Okay? Now we could argue, okay, there might not be 40,000 people who will die on corona. But who knows, if we wouldn't take care any actions, maybe there would. In Italy they have 10,000 deaths already. Okay, Italy has about, I think, 8 times more people than Switzerland. 8 times, I don't do math well. But anyway, I mean, so this 40 billion we actually raise for this corona thing. I think it's totally in relation to what we pay for those cancer patients every year. Okay, it will increase maybe eventually cost of our system, but because, as I told before, Switzerland has such a low debt to BDP ratio, we can handle that. Manuel is asking how much liquidity UBS would have if they could release the Nostros. Well, literally I have no clue. I did a rough calculation, but I could be totally wrong. I think Switzerland, most likely Credit Suisse, UBS, and maybe Raiffeisen, I don't know, they might together have about, I don't know, between 2 and 5 billion. billion, not trillion, just billion, maybe more, they could like bring back to the country. And that's not just these figures compared with the 40 billion Switzerland is now kind of opening for the corona crisis. Okay, 5 billion would be like 12.5% if we compare the 40 billion for corona and the 5 billion coming back as liquidity. But it's still, a country would be really happy when it could increase BDP by 10%. But that's like a crisis money. And it might take a year to bring that money back. So, like 5% this year and 5% next year or so. And then we're very, very close already to the 2% plus minus BDP variation each year. So, literally, I'm pretty sure that introduction of XRP will help definitely. You shouldn't forget that governments and companies, when they're calculating a new product line, or when they're doing budget for whatever, like all the different areas in a country, like infrastructure, health, education, army, and whatever other costs there is, they're usually happy if they can get like 0.5% or a percent more money. That's usually already huge money. If a company makes 1% more profit this year than last year, they're hailed. Everyone will buy the stock of that company. That's like a huge thing. You have to always put it into perspective. 1%. We as XRP investors, we think, wow, 1% profit, that's nothing. I want 100,000% of profit. But that's not how a company calculates. Like Siemens or so, when they make from, I don't know, it's just figures, I have no clue what they're doing. If they make an increase in profit from 4.5 to 5.5%, that's for them like, hail, that's like 20% more profit. So they're already happy with 0.1% profit. That's the figures such huge institutions are talking about. So in that respect, the liquidity, this problem, this 0.5 or 1% improvement in liquidity might be actually a good thing already, but it will not, if there is a liquidity crisis, it will not heal it. It could heal it if it was like, I don't know, 90%. But don't get me wrong, I really have no idea about those figures, but I think that the problem XRP is actually solving is in the very, very low percentage ranges from when we talk about liquidity problems or like financial crisis and stuff. So XRP will help, as I said, really low percentages for a country, and big institutions are usually already a huge increase, but it will not solve the problem. When just to give you an example, when few months or weeks back it was rumored that Deutsche Bank would go bankrupt soon. Let's assume Deutsche Bank, I don't know, has obligations about the trillion. If they can make, I don't know, 10 billion, that's not even a percent, like from the nostrils. If they could retrieve 10 10 billion. That's not even a percent, that's 0.1%. Whoever believes that this 0.1% would save Deutsche Bank from getting bankrupt is kind of, that person didn't do the math. It will not cure that situation. Simply not. It will help, but it will not cure it. Hagop Saldalgians Mike, well, that's really up to you. There are people who really think Nexo, and I think that I made do you want my list, Hagop? I made a list on, let me quickly check. I made a list about payment service providers, and some of them actually, on some of them you can actually lend your crypto. I think Binance is one of them. I didn't even list them there, but Binance, if you have your crypto on Binance, I think you can also get interest on them. Do that, investigate, but I will not give you an advice, Hagop. That's really up to you. There are some of those services where you can lend and retrieve at any time you need, but I'd assume that the interest rate will be much lower because they have to calculate some risk into that. Let's assume they need 10 million XRP and you give them 1 million with the option to pull that 1 million out. That's like 10%. Just few minutes before I told that 1% already is a huge difference for such big institutions. Now, if there is a risk that you retrieve 10% of the XRP they actually have in, I don't know, custody for whatever other sources, then they need to charge a certain risk, so your interest rate will be lower. However, if you kind of go into a contract with them and tell them you leave it there for a year, then your interest rate will be higher. But that's all stuff you need to investigate yourself. I can just give you ideas with that link I just sent. Do your own research. There are people who believe totally in that. For me, I wouldn't know why. I really, maybe, I don't know. Right now, I don't see the purpose of lending my XRP. That might change. I also didn't see the purpose of having a trading bot 3 months back. Now I do. Things might change. Anyway, let's assume I will somewhere in the future have made kind of virtual $10 million with XRP. I would anyway cash out like 10% and put it into eToro copy trading, like would pick out between 5 and 10 performing traders and allocate a certain amount to them, so that I could be sure that every year I would have a decent return on investment, so that I really don't need to think about my daily cost anymore, and then which would basically leave me the rest of my money to just enjoy, because my daily cost would be already covered. But if you do that with crypto, that's really your decision. Could be that in the end, why do people have a business? Because they think they can make a profit. Let's take again a company like Siemens. Let's assume they make 5% profit. think about the pure figures. I literally have no clue. I just think out loud. Siemens might have 100,000 employees worldwide. 100,000, okay? And I don't know, 100 billion market cap. And the profit from, I don't know, 10 billion. So 100,000 people contribute to 10 billion. I have to calculate that. Billion, million, thousand divided by 100,000. So each, that's actually quite a good figure. Each employee would contribute $100,000 dollars to that profit. That's actually quite a good figure. Which basically, if you're yourself invest into a company, then you basically want to have enough profit so that you can live of it, okay? And maybe it's worth that you go into mountain bike production or whatever thing you think you're good at. Maybe you will make more profit in that area and actually enjoy your life than by just investing it into profit making investments. That's really up to you. I mean, most people would be happy if you tell them, here you have $500,000, go and do your own business. They would be really happy because they could make sure that they have an ongoing return so that they can live and enjoy their lives. I think less than 5%, maybe even less than 1% of the people would actually say, yeah, 5 years no work. Let's spend the money. I mean, most people do have a brain. Few people don't have a brain. And I literally hope you guys, you my followers, do have a brain. eToro is an exchange. Hagop, Saldalgian, Smike. An exchange. Actually, it's a little bit a different exchange than normal exchange. On normal exchange, you buy and sell crypto, like when we are talking about crypto exchanges. On eToro, you open and close a trade. That gives you the possibility to apply stop loss, take profit, and leverage if you so want. If you apply leverage, then it's not crypto anymore, then it's just a CFD, a contract for difference. Actually a margin trade, I think it's a proper technical term. But you could invest $1,000, apply a leverage of 10. I don't know if it's possible in crypto, don't nail me on that. And then your investment would work as if you had invested $10,000. You pay then a fee every night, I don't know, $1 or $2 or something. And if it goes up 10%, it'll be for you actually like 100% because you have a leverage of 10. But if it goes down, you also 10%, then you also lose 10 times, which means basically all your investment. And what also eToro offers is, because it's a social trading platform, good trader or any trader can make his profile public. And good traders you can copy. You can say, I will allocate $10,000 on, I don't know, XRP Hart, assuming he's an eToro trader. If XRP Hart has a good kind of statistic in the past, whatever you decide, 5 months, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, then you decide to do that, and with a little bit of luck, he will then invest the 10,000 you put on him in the same strategy. He will have like the budget of XRP Hard to invest will be like higher. He will use the same strategy, but he will buy more Apple stock and more whatever he buys and sells, and you will profit from the profits XRP Hard will make. I think it's actually quite a clever system, and I will be doing that once XRP moons, because then others work for me. They will make sure that I will have a decent average profit, so that I don't need to care anymore about. They will just make sure that I can go on and continue my life without ever fearing again being in trouble. Algo-Trading, ja, das sind irgendwie, keine Ahnung, Algorithmen, wahrscheinlich. There is a lot of idiots there. And one even, he makes Armini, he's even from Switzerland, I figured today. 2, he's such an asshole. On every post I made, he makes fun about me, but he looks each and every video of mine. I really don't know what those people have in mind. They bang on people's heads. Why don't they just forget about that? It's like assholes. That's so pathetic, this behavior. These people are sick people. So, now we're getting close to the end of the hour. Enough of banging on idiots. Exactly, Hagop. Well, I mean, some people believe in good poker players. Some believe in their own luck in betting on sports scores. Like that Manchester United is winning against Chelsea 10-1 is the I don't know this rate, whatever, and then if they actually win, you win 10 times as much money as you put. But I mean, those bet organizations, you have no clue how much math they apply in order to be able to be sure that in average they always win. They will always have some bets they offer where few people will go into that bet and make some money, maybe $1 million or so. But that's like the same as insurance. It's basically like an insurance business. It's just the other way around. But it's the same thing. In insurance, why do we have insurances? Because we do not want to pay if a hurricane destroys our house. We will not have that money at the time when it happens to rebuild our house. And that's the reason why we prefer to pay, I don't know, $1,000 per year into an insurance, such that when it happens that the hurricane destroys our house, I will get the money to rebuild it. The same applies to, I don't know, 1 million other house owners in Switzerland. But once the hurricane occurs, it will not destroy 1 million houses. It will destroy maybe 10,000 houses or less, and it will happen in maybe once in 10 years. So that insurance company is kind of doing the math with all those figures in order to be able to know how much they will need to pay for something to happen if it happens. I mean, not for something to happen. How much they need to pay if something happens in order to be able to cover all that cost. And that's the reason why everyone pays a rate on the insurance. And in the betting area, it's the same thing. Basically, the betting area is making the exact same calculation as the insurance, just with other attributes. They will have figures in their calculations, how many scores, how many goals an attack player scored last season, or how many times he was injured in his career, stuff like that. And then they use that in some intelligent way, and they figure out, okay, now we have a rating which tells this team will win against this team by 5-1. But now comes other factors like the other team, the one which should be gaining with the one they have been in a losing strike, which will actually increase the rate for the other team winning even more and stuff like that. And in the end, it's like a risk. It's like a hedging. They hedge profits from one bet to the other. It's the same. It's exactly the same. So if you're good in insurance math, you could apply in one of those bwin or other betting companies, because the math behind it is exactly the same. You just need to figure the proper attributes to actually do your math. And I'm pretty sure in gaming it's exactly the same. It's really a vicious cycle, unfortunately. Hagop Saldaljan's Mike. It's really... I tell you a story. That's my last story. I will tell you before we close it. It's a personal story. Our school system starts with Primarschule, 6 years, then Sekundarschule, usually 2 to 3 years, depending on state we're living in, and then the Gymnasium, which prepares you to go to the university, which is another 4 to 5 years, depending on if it's 2 to 3 years in Sekundarschule. So I was with a guy in Sekundarschule, and after 2 years we went to the gymnasium, and we were going. It was in another city, and we were going there by bike. And 2-3 months in, he was in another class in the new school than me. He used to follow the math course, and I more the economics course. And once we met at the red light, where we both had to wait for the green light, and he was asking me how I felt, and I was literally banging on everything. This is bad, and this is bad, and this is bad, and this is bad. And then the light got green, and he drove off with his bike, and I drove off with mine. And I was thinking, why did I tell him that stupid stuff? It's not all that bad. I actually liked my new school quite a lot. I was actually really happy. For some reason, I believed that if I told everything was bad, that I would kind of receive some care from that other guy, some how do you say in English, some Mitgefühl, some compassion, and I thought that I would feel better by feeling that compassion. But actually what I realized after that is what really had made me feel better if I had told him the truth, that I'm actually really happy about the new school and I really like it, because that was the way it was. And there are many people who go that other route. They bang on everything and Butterfly and another one of my followers, they're doing the same thing. When everything is good, they're like, yoo-hoo! But as soon as there is a slight raindrop on the horizon, why? I really don't get it. Just stay positive. Either you believe in something like me do and some other people doing, like Manuel and Raf and Richard, and we have a total vision. Jack the Rippler, Jack the Rippler is basically the first person on Twitter who, I have been following others, but the first person I came across where I thought, man, that guy has an unbreakable trust in XRP. It's like, and I mean, he was so sure that by the end of 2018 it'll moon, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen in 2019. And Jack the Rippler still is so freaking fucking sure it'll happen. And why it didn't happen, literally no one knows. So that was, I didn't cover a last question. I'm sorry for that, but I think my personal story about this negativity and positivity, live the positive part. Don't bang on stuff. Try to see the positive. I think it was worth hearing it. I was at that time, I don't know, 14 or 15 years old. And that changed my life. This minute at that red light with this other guy asking me, how do you like the new school? And I was just banging on it when actually the truth was I really liked it. And I was so ashamed after that. It was literally, I couldn't believe that it was like lying to him. Literally. And before I did that, I thought I would feel well after that. So don't fall into something like that. And we will see in the coming days. If SBI really goes live, I'm pretty sure we'll see quite some more volume. Take care. As always, I thank you for your trust, for your patience, for your perseverance to stick with me. Don't lose faith, and if you want to leave me a comment, you can leave me a comment on any of my videos or on ipinky77 on Twitter. Thanks and take care. See you next week.